Yo, 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 Salaam nerds! It's your boy Neves, aka Watch with Neves, and I'm here with my co-host Jazz, aka Clem.
Clem. This is the first time you give me a nickname without a play on jazz in some way, and you just said Clem, and I'm like, oh.
Tell me that's not the worst alias to ever happen in Star Wars.
It's both unfortunate, but okay. So I mean that's his adoptive father's name. It's Clem, right? But like, the name Clem sucks.
Well, listen. Speaking of names that don't suck, let's talk about Darth Chaco. What's going on? How did you come up with that name? Because that's a dope name.
Darth Chaco is something I've had for a very, very long time. I was Darth Chocolate, and I was like one of the edgy teenagers or whatever, who's into Star Wars, but I only care about the Sith and violence and like Great Jedi and stuff like that.
You're like the My Chemical Romance of like Star Wars.
Exactly. Okay, real talk. I was emo. Before My Chemical Romance was on this team. Okay, I'm Midwestern emo. I'm Just to Brazil. I'm Sunny Day Real Estate. I'm early Jimmy Eats World. Yeah. No, we can. That's a whole different topic.
Oh yeah.
But
love it.
Yeah. No. So yeah. Darth Chocolate 7 became my username everywhere, all the time, and I knew I wanted to make Star Wars content at some point in time. And I had already had Darth Chocolate on a number of things. And I saw like, oh, what's this TikTok thing? That's up and coming. Darth Chocolate. Taken.
Oh, no.
Damn.
Darth Choco. And then that's the one that takes off. So like, whatever. You know, I am Darth Choco now.
It's less characters and it rolls off the tongue. Darth Choco. Love it.
I feel the kinship with She-Hulk when she's like, I didn't really choose this name, but like,
yeah,
it is my name now. So you know.
No, it's good because it sounds like a Star Wars name, right? It's not like a standard name like Choco. Like I could see that being a Star Wars name.
Like I could definitely see it being a real Star Wars name. Like Chocolate, I can't. That would just take me out. But Choco, yeah. I can see that.
Exactly.
But I was going to say tell us a little bit about yourself, but I feel like we just learned way too much about you with the emo face.
I have, yeah. No, I'm a chronic oversharer. Okay, so I have to ask. Intro to this, the countdown sound was from 24, which is a show I loved.
Yes.
What was the choice behind? I hope I'm not taking over. I'm just curious. What was the choice behind adding that in?
Oh, well, we just needed a countdown, and I've been obsessed with 24 since I was like in college. So I watched that show religiously. I watched it with my parents. So if I'm going to do any kind of countdown, I definitely got to do a 24 countdown. There's nothing else that's going to fit because I love that show. Jack Bauer is like, woof, man. Like, I mean, given they were killing Muslims the whole time, but still, it was a different time back then, all right? It was a different time.
Okay. So
we're taking the sound back. We're taking the sound back.
My mind went straight to like, I guess it's season 4, but the mother on that has been in everything, and she's Middle Eastern. She has the richest and most beautiful voice ever, and she's like, you know when it's her speaking, and I can't remember the actor's name.
It's a hard name to pronounce. Shaguf, something like that. She has this like raspy voice. She's Iranian actually.
Yes.
I know exactly.
She was the mother of the cop on The Punisher season 2. She's in Mass Effect too. She's in so many things, but her voice is unmistakable and it's so beautiful and I love it so much. And that's all I could think about when I heard the countdown, and it made me really happy. So
that's so funny. Yeah, she was her son was Beirut. I remember that.
Yeah.
Jazz is probably looking it up right now.
I am.
When Jazz has this face, he like always looking up stuff while we're talking. I know it.
I've been trying to look it up since the intro started, but and I couldn't find it. But yeah, no. It's
Oh,
unmistakable, but
she's
beautiful
70?
and rich and raspy and like I don't know. I just
all right.
love
Now
it.
now we got to find this. All right, let's see.
Bro, hang on. This woman
What?
is 70?
Shut up! No way.
You're telling me this woman is 70?
Listen.
Whoa. Yeah, I guess.
Black don't crack, so brown won't let you down. I don't know.
We're rolling with
Well-
that one because
well, technically, brown people are Asian, so Asians don't raisin. That's the saying.
That's true.
That's right.
I've understood as Asians don't raisin until they
Yeah.
do, and then it's like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You hit that point and it's straight downhill.
It's like menopause, and then you're just like.
I've seen that comic.
It's like a meme, right? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. All right. Let's talk about our buddy Clem. Let's get into the episode, man. Let's start to recap because this is going to be a fun one, and I can't wait to get into it with you. So it starts off with Clem being convinced to go fight against the Empire. Doesn't take too much to convince him. A little arm twisting here and there. I thought it would be a little bit more, but he was pretty ready to go. Got clean shaven, looking good, looking nice, looking presentable. And then Luther introduces Clem to Val, and they have this exchange. So let's get into that. What are your thoughts about that whole exchange? How it's coming about, Darth?
There's even in that short period, like you saying it like that, just reminds me of how much actually happened in this episode, despite it being a relatively slowish episode. But when he's like, like who are you working for? Is it Alliance? Is it SEP? Is it guerrillas? Is it partisan? And he's like, aren't they all the same thing? He's like, they are to me.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, this is good writing already.
Yeah,
because this like that says like all these different groups have beef with the Empire. They're not the same group, and they don't want the same things, but they do want the fall of the Empire. And if you view them all as the same thing, it reminds me of like there's a Canon Star Wars book. It's based off of the first canon Battlefront game. It was called Twilight Company, and the main character is someone who has been a child soldier, and so all of life is war, to the point where he doesn't really even care who he's fighting. He just fighting is all he knows, and that's sad. But that's what was portrayed with both of these characters. That's something that they share.
Yeah, you can tell the trauma that he's been through and that he's had just in the way he talks. And then he gets to meet these soldiers who all have their own little backstory. So here are the people who Val introduces us to. One was Skeen, Tamarin, Nemec, Cinta, who is Indian, by the way. Shout out to her. Of course, she's the doctor. I mean, like, of course that would happen.
Indian has to be the doctor.
Of course. You can't have a ragtag team without an Indian doctor or an Indian IT person.
Listen. Doctor is body IT, so
that is true. Amoxicillin.
Line of the episode right there.
Amoxicillin is just Control Alt Delete for the mind, body, and soul. Plug it in.
Yeah, let's just do a system reboot. Don't worry about it.
Oh man.
I also have like a problem with like why are all of these women gorgeous?
Yeah. Listen, I'm not gonna complain.
A near distracting point,
Yes.
like she was like, oh, she better not die, and Vix better not die, and my mom
Vix
like
better not die.
What's happening here? Is it me or is it?
I could not concentrate in the episode with Dix where like she's with fucking Tim, who I hate to death.
Fuck you, Tim.
Listen, I have to actively try to not talk about Bix because it would just take over.
I think that's the most hard to believe part of the entire Star Wars saga from beginning to end is that someone like Tim got with Bix. That's it. That's the part. That's where I draw the line.
Okay, you know what though? You know what?
I don't know. Makes sense.
I have to say that's the one thing that makes Tim's betrayal believable. Of he's like, listen, I caught a unicorn. I don't know how to keep it. Anything I see is a threat to this. Yeah. So like, that's the only thing that makes his like. They're like, yeah, but like the police came in and shot a bunch of civilians and all this crazy stuff. And you're like, but did you see her?
Yep. Facts.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say that
because
he's a white guy and she's Hispanic. This was a way to get some privilege.
I don't know, man. It's
Hey, look at the Empire. It's nothing but white people up top.
Yep. And well, we'll get to that. Let's get to that now. Let's get to that now, because you know what? That's the other part that's hard to believe from the real world, because cops were actually held accountable. So what's up with that?
Listen, like you're talking to someone who has been held at gunpoint by police for no reason. And all that happened is they made me really late for stuff. But yeah, that's a real thing.
Oh no, my guy. Obviously, we will never go toward like what you've been through. Like there's just no way, right?
No way.
I promise you, there have been some similar and less intense situations with us.
Let's just say I've been pulled over more than once.
Yeah.
Without being in a car. think about that. Think about
what?
On more than one occasion, I've been walking on the street towards my car and had police slam on their brakes to the point where they slide to a stop, reverse, and then come to talk to me. I've had that happen multiple times in my life. And I was like, I didn't know it was that dark.
Oh my god, that is fucked up. Honestly, though, to be fair, I have also been pulled over, not in a car, but like on a plane because I'm brown.
I've never had trouble on a plane, so
we got the airport. That's the only place that we got. Everywhere else.
For me, it was because I was a protest, and quite frankly, I kind of see why they did it.
That's the best reason for it, really.
Yeah,
Jazz is super political, so he is always up in their faces, challenging the fascist regime.
Oh yeah, ACAB.
Well, speaking of ACAB, let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about the cops getting held accountable. They actually got suspended, stripped, I don't know, fired. What happened? Not only did the two cops, but the bumbling cop who did not find out what his subordinates were doing. Even he got reprimanded, which I thought was like, yes, that's what you should be doing. What are your thoughts?
You know what though? Okay, it's a weird take. I feel like he was the most competent cop.
Yeah,
he was.
Like, let's face it, the whole thing started because there's two cops who are on duty who are getting drunk at a brothel.
Yes.
Like they were not supposed to be there. They were
correct.
There was not supposed to exist. They weren't supposed to be there. Even inside of the brothel, the people working there didn't want to serve them because of their abuse of power. And then they chose to take that power and try to shake down the first brown person they saw and rob them. And it went bad. Like, and so that guy was able to suss out that stuff happened.
Yeah.
And wanted them to not turn in a report about it. Yes, he was crooked, but he was crooked in a
smart way, in the smartest way.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day, right?
No, it wasn't a broken clock. He knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing.
It's like when you use the wrong equation but get the right answer.
Exactly. He was like, yes, he's like, our guys were absolutely in the wrong on this occasion, to the point where I don't even want to make a report of it. And so the wrongness is not admitting how stupid they were, but by him doing that, we had Karn start feeling all Van Damme super cop and like go all nuts.
Yeah, it basically like for him it was like the title was challenged. Like why they did not give the proper respect to an officer, regardless of who that officer was, and that he felt challenged by that, and then he fucking had his assault. I don't even know if they were working that day. It might have been their day off. How you get fired on your day off? like
Yeah,
You
you
fucked
gotta
up.
talk to Cara Dune about that.
Oh no!
He's
I'm sorry.
dead.
I'm sorry.
Ah.
Oh, that's funny. And then we see Karn go to his mama house after getting fired, and she slaps him and then brings him in. I don't know what's up with that. Like, what were your thoughts about that?
Oh, she knows him.
She knows
she
him.
raised him. She's probably a regular person raising this crazy Type A person. Not that Type A people are, awful to deal with, but like
I mean,
he was.
Right.
He was Type A plus or
the shoe
whatever.
fits.
And she slaps him, but she still loves him. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Karn though, because now we have a new officer, the ISB officer, in play
Yes.
in the story, and she is not being allowed to access the files for what happened on this planet. So the only thing she can do is reach out to someone who is directly involved, but she would have to do it without the Empire's knowledge. Well, she'd have to reach out to the one guy who is no longer connected with them, which is going to be Karn. At least that's my active theory. I could very well be wrong, but I think that what happened to him is the specific thing that will allow him to become a piece of this greater puzzle in the future of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I feel Officer Grandy, I believe her name was. I feel like she is going to open up a can of worms, and Karn is going to be somewhat involved. And I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but she gets shot down to make us believe that okay, nothing's going forward. But that's not going to last. I feel like something's going to happen, and it's going to switch it on us, and we're going to see the return of Karn team up with Grandy, and they're probably going to be a problem, a thorn in somebody's side in the future. But speaking of being a thorn in their side, let's talk about their plan. So they have this elaborate plan on how they're going to use this basically eruption that's going to happen as their cover and go into this. It kind of gives me Rogue One vibes again. They're kind of just like they're on this little mission and they kind of have to do it, and it's kind of like Rogue One / Star Wars, A New Hope / Top Gun Maverick. They got this little thing that they're going to do. Do you think that's going to be a central part of the story, or that's going to be like a small side part, and then there's going to be a new plot line after that? Or do you think the entire series is going to be leading up to this plan?
You know what? The way I look at it is so they basically said they've told us what season 2 is going to be, and season 2 is going to be 3 episode arcs that are 1 year apart. And that's going to end at where Rogue One starts. I am taking that and reverse engineering it and saying that season 1 is also all going to be comprised of 3 episode arcs that all take place in the same year. So yeah, I think Cassie's going to join them. But by the way, I enjoyed Space Scotland with its space sheep. I thought that was cool.
Very cute. Yeah.
I was expecting her at some point in time to be like, nothing, Jon Snow. Like that had the exact same vibes. But yeah, no, I'm expecting that to only episode 2 is going to be the first half of the mission where something's going to go wrong, and the second half is going to be them rectifying that and escaping. And I think we're going to get 3 episode arcs throughout this entire season 1.
How many episodes are in season 1?
12.
Okay. I feel like they could do a lot of damage with 12. I feel like 12 is a good number, unlike those Disney shows that are like 6 episodes. I feel like those are definitely not enough. 12, I think you can do a lot with 12.
I fully think that like I don't think everyone is fully embracing the streaming model of listen, you don't have a time limit. However long you need to tell your story, tell it. But don't take any extra time. just what's needed. And I feel like everyone is supposed to like bid ahead of time. It's weird. I think people we're still settling into it, but I think this is the best example we have of it to date.
I agree. They're 12, 24 episodes between the two seasons, or is it 24 episodes per season? I can't remember.
24 for the two seasons.
Okay, so 12
is what I believe. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's beautiful. I think it's going to be well done. So far, I'm loving it. What was the scene we were at right now? This was the one in the camp, right?
Yes, we're at the camp when they're discussing the plans, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about at the moment. What do you think of the plan, Jazz?
So the plan is obviously reckless and suicidal, and I'm glad he said it. But then they're like, "Oh, we have meteors. Problem solved." God damn it, y'all! Like, are you kidding me? That's your out?
Listen.
A giant distraction in the sky.
I like to think about things in the form of The Flash. I know The Flash isn't a great show, but there's this amazing line in The Flash. It's like, make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan. That's how you do one of these shows.
I guess.
Oh, okay. I have a question. The science guy that was explaining the plan. Did anyone else pick up him thirsting after Cassian? I mean, I don't blame him, but
for sure, he was totally gay coded there.
Listen, I've had people like fight me on that, and I'm like, no, man, he's this boy's thirsty, you know. Nothing wrong with that.
I thought he was just a suck up, but now that you mention it, he could be a suck up and thirsty.
I mean, one might lead to the other. Anyways,
you said it. I was going to say the exact same thing.
Oh, hi-oh.
I'm sorry.
Nope.
But I do want to take something to the beginning of this though, because Luthen, when he was talking with her, took a tone I did not expect, and he was like, "Listen to me," and I was like, "Holy like this guy is intense." Like his behavior in talking to now I can't think of her Jana, was it Jana? Something like that. To get her to take Cassian with her and to begin with was like shocking, and it just deepened him as a character, and he's by far my favorite person on the show so far.
True. I love that. All right, so that's about the plan. There's one thing that we have not talked about yet, and that is Luther. And Luther, he's this crazy spy putting everything together, and then he is like this little collector, and he's got like this robot, he's got a little show, and he's like a spy, and he has this whole little operation where he has the senator come in. What was the senator's name? Mon Mothers, right? Mothma. So she comes in, and I'm like, okay, what's happening here? Turns out she's a spy too. So I love this little espionage thing that's like happening here.
Do you not remember Rogue One? Do you not remember like the sequel trilogy? Where she was with,
I mean, or the original trilogy, because that's where
it was. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Oh,
many Bothans died to give us this information.
Yeah.
You're right. Oh my god, that just clicked for me. Wow.
Senator Mon Mothma has been there since the start, my guy, and she's been in like she's been in all the prequels. She was in 2 of the original, and I believe she was in 2 of the sequels.
She wasn't in the
anyway, point being,
she
was in most of the movies. Is what I'm getting at. Like,
wait, but were they using the same actress?
No, so they recast her. And
okay.
So Dave Filoni is a goddamn mastermind, right? He picks these vocal actors that could play the part physically.
Yeah.
So she was the voice actor for Mon Mothma in Rebels, right? The animation Rebels. And then like it just so happens she looks just like the character. I like, you know, like Dave, I see what you're doing, man. And I appreciate it. Thank you for that. I think
Filoni.
I think she killed
Brilliant.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, so I don't want to take over anything, but I will
No, go for
say
it. By all means, yes, this is great.
I will say I've done breakdowns of what was in Luthen's shop.
Whoa.
Oh, you actually look at all the items and the history behind them. Interesting.
So I'm someone that has read most of Legends. I've read all of canon. And watch all the shows.
So
and do all
you
the
know
things.
about the war crimes there.
Yeah, watching it was crazy. But like, but I think everything inside of there tells an amazing picture. So like what you had is there was a Wookiee chieftain helmet as well as one of the horns that they used to signal people. But of course, what happened to the Wookiees? Enslaved by the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There was we saw there was a Gungan shield in there that didn't have the energy active. Right. That was the first battle from the Clone Wars. We had the like stone tablets that had the hands that represented the ones from Clone Wars. But we see that in Rebels, and that's the Empire unearthing or destroying Jedi relics for their own gain, right?
Mm-hmm.
We also had a plate of Mandalorian armor, like the chest plate.
Mm.
Who destroyed the Mandalorians? The Empire,
right?
and there's like a very, very clear of all of these relics and things that are in here are things that the Empire has pillaged from these cultures. But the most important one is in the corner. There's this thing that's a two-headed snake, and I was like, I've seen this before, and I tried to search every Star Wars things I could find, and I couldn't find it until I figured out what it actually was.
Ooh, what was it?
It's a Mexican Aztec statue that is made out of it's made out of jade, I want to say. That's currently being held in the British Museum.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Wow. So you know, Cassian's actor being Mexican, having this thing that has taken and is currently held by an empire, you're like, oh man, all of this stuff is just like it's so connected. That's so crazy to me. This is Easter eggs done right. And
right.
My worry was like, I don't want to see Easter eggs for the sake of Easter eggs. I don't
like fan service Easter eggs. Yeah. Right.
I feel like season 2 of The Mandalorian suffered from this. I wanted to see Mando's progress, and I didn't see it. I saw backdoor pilots for Boba Fett, for Ahsoka, and for what was going to be Rangers of the New Republic, but got canceled. But like, I just saw a bunch of backdoor pilots for other stuff. That's not an Easter egg. I think that's why Age of Ultron gets so much crap, because it was a bunch of commercials for future projects. All of the stuff we see in the background has a meaning, has a purpose. Also in the back, you see what might be Indiana Jones' whip encased in carbonite. That's just an Easter egg.
That's funny.
Wow, those totems from the Twi'leks.
Yes. So that was one of the other things is we had a Twi'lek Kalikori, you know, which is what they create for, and it represents your family and your subsequent members of your family. Add pieces to it. That was in the background. Twi'leks got the worst of it, man. I feel really bad.
Exactly. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh shit.
The Clone Wars started with them fighting for their independence.
Mm-hmm.
And then they finally fought and they won their independence. And the Republic was like, yeah, we're helping you be independent. And then they turned into the Empire. And they're like, so you belong to us now. And then they're like, oh, frick. I guess
they lost a lot of people in that war. Like, they sacrificed like majority of their species for that war.
Wow.
Absolutely. And so Cham Syndulla, which is Hera's
Yeah.
father, was the leader of the Red Left Front, and like you see a lot of that in Bad Batch. You see him show up in Rebels, and also books like Lords of the Sith. But yeah, their struggle is epic. But yeah, look, but that falls in suit with what I was saying. All these relics are things that were pillaged from people who were taken over by the Empire. And everything he has in there is a reason to fight. That's what's crazy. Everything is a reason to fight.
Mm.
And he's all cheery, like, "Oh, hey, here's some, stuff we stole. Buy it for your husband's Day of Days." And it's like,
so I might be telling on myself a little bit here, but I am actually massively introverted as a person. So him like putting on the rings and stuff, was like, oh, that's me getting ready for a podcast.
And scene. That's
granted,
funny.
I'm the same person. I'm just quieter. So yeah.
Right. You're dialed up and dialed down. That's all we are. Just versions of ourselves. Exactly. I feel the same way. But I did want to talk about how, we were talking about the relics and all the stuff in there. We did not talk about the Kyber crystal that he has, which is really, really cool. And I always love the fact that, they're called Kyber crystals, because Kyber is actually a city in Pakistan. I don't know if a lot of people know that.
I didn't know that.
It's very Afghanistan-Pakistan border.
Yes, Afghanistan-Pakistan borders. And a lot of people don't know that, but there's a lot of similarities between the Mandalorians and a certain tribe in Afghanistan. Obviously you have the main thing with, like, you can't take off the turban. Same thing with, like, the hijab. Someone can't outside your family cannot see you without your scarf on. But they also, like, literally in war zones fight just like the Mandalorians, like in these little packs. And they have these clans. They're literally called clans. So it's really interesting. And also they have bad reputations as, like, terrorists and stuff like that. It's like a lot of the story is very similar. So the fact that, like, Kyber crystals, Jedi robes, a lot of this stuff is taken from, like, a lot of Islamic cultures, which I think is really, really interesting.
We're gonna reclaim it.
That's super cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. And I like that we get to see a Kyber crystal. What significance do you think is that going to have in the show?
Ooh, well, when it comes to significance, like Jyn Erso is wearing a Kyber crystal around her neck throughout the course of, her entire life, but also Rogue One. But what's interesting is the sources of the crystals. So like, Jyn's is something that was found by her family. It's cracked, but it was her father's way of saying that power and beauty can come from things that have broken or difficult pasts. This thing that Cassian is given is a trinket that is commemorating fighting off the Rakatan Empire. Like what? Okay, so. They
That's a Knights of the Old Republic thing, isn't it?
Yes, yes, it is. There was so much. Okay, so this is the second reference to the Rakatan Empire, but the first one was so vague that I can hardly count it. So largely, this is the first, and this is the only one that's in any type of live action or video or front facing medium, which has its own stuff, all together. It's just awesome. It's awesome because we're in this weird space where Star Wars is being created by Star Wars fans.
Yeah,
yes, it's made for the nerds.
It's which is, and the fear is, and what I think a certain portion of the fan base wants is akin to like a Fast and Furious in Star Wars. It's just Star Wars characters being badass and stuff. But like that's not what Star Wars has ever been.
Yeah. They want to just sit there and go, let's go.
Yeah, they want to make clip shows and stuff, but you're like,
Yeah.
no, this is all struggle. Star Wars was meant to be a modern day mythology, and mythologies had like an oral passing down of stories and parables in order to inform younger people like what's right and wrong or what to do in certain situations, and that's what needs to continue to keep this franchise alive, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more. And one of the things is that, I feel like is done really well here is the politics behind everything, right? And it's so interesting to me when people say things like they don't want politics in Star Wars. I'm like, what do you think is the second word in Star Wars? Like, right? It makes no sense. But a lot of people do say that. And like, we see them going into it with like how they're setting up this fascist regime, how the cops are heading, but also the political aspect with Grandy, where she is having this dinner party and her husband is inviting people who are literally like, war criminals and doing sanctions on people. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Not just any war criminals. It's oh my god, these two people that he mentioned. This was Ars Dangor and Sly Moore, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
if you watched the prequel trilogies, right? Sly was this like woman that's like bald with like the white eyes that like just looks super scary. And she was one of the few people who knew Chief Palpatine as Darth Sidious. Like she was one of the few people who knew his true identity the whole time. And she's a force sensitive user who can manipulate other people into giving out the info she needs. So like she is one of the baddest of bads coming into dinner here. It's not like she's just some like, like Ron DeSantis. No, she's like Donald Trump or Kim Jong-un level. Like, yeah, like she is the bad.
Ooh.
Do you know the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? So right before that scene, Palpatine says, "Leave us."
Yeah.
That was Sly Moore sitting next to him that leaves, that Anakin takes the seat of. That's how close she was in the inner circle. She was there,
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know who
rewatch it
but...
and you'll see when Palpatine announces that this is no longer Republic but it's a Grand Empire. She's on the platform with him. So
and Masameda, who was the vizier, and then I believe he was also invited to this dinner, which I'm just like, holy shit! You're bringing your enemies that close to Mon Mothma, who knows all these secrets, and one of them can compel her to release all these secrets. Like,
her husband being a real bitch, man. Like, what a bitch move.
This whole all of Andor feels like boyfriends who dropped the bag. Like before it was Tim, who's just like insecure, and he's like, he's like, listen, she's way out of my league, and I need to like squash anything that could possibly come up. Right? That was Tim. I don't even know what this guy's problem is, but like
Perrin.
Perrin is like this stereotypical thing I see in politics, where like you have one super left-leaning person in politics, and their spouse is like the exact opposite ideology.
Really? I feel like he's more of a centralist who's really just an opportunist. For their own gain.
This dude is evil.
Okay.
Oh, well, maybe I'm kind of on the side with this, because he to me feels like there's good points on both sides.
Yeah, right.
And like it feels like Mon Mothma specifically talks about the Goran people.
Yeah, they had their shipping lanes cut off.
Yes, but she talks a couple of years ago. She talked about the Goran people in Rebels, and she said, what she said was the Goran massacre. So whatever the situation is, it doesn't end up well for those people. So like her husband feels like the guy who's like, oh well, you're for the Goran people, they're against it, and it's the same, and we can meet in the middle and we can have a nice dinner, and because they're fun people. And my mom is like, well, if we do this, they will die. And then on the other side, they're like, yeah, they're gonna die. You know, like it's centrist, but in the
worst way.
It's
Yeah.
not like an ideology. Like, let's get together and meet over this. It's one side's like, I don't care if these people live, and there's like, I do, and you're like, that's like personhood.
Some murder is okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's political, in my opinion.
That's
Yeah.
a moral issue.
It's like when they say like, "Oh, we just gotta agree to disagree on politics." But yes, my right to live is not something you can agree to disagree, sir.
I may or may not have a personal stake in this sort of matter, but you know, but don't consider that bias. I'm just saying. You know?
Right there with you, my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we do have a few comments here. Our homie Del Hewitt Jr. has been here, and he says, "Oh, he passed our YouTube to all his friends and brags about our channel." Thank you so much, Del. We appreciate you, man. Love that stuff. I know you were looking for the She-Hulk episode. The She-Hulk episode airs at 10:30 to 11:30 p.m. on Thursdays, and then Andor is from 11:30 to 12:30.
Okay. I mean, I could talk to you She-Hulk as well, but
hey, we'll bring you back. No worries. No worries.
Oh, we can bring you. Oh, yeah, we will bring you back. I'm usually like hesitant to ask people who have their own podcast because I feel like if I ask them to come on mine, I'm taken away from them. So like I try not to ask them too much. But listen, if you're down, we'll have you here whenever you want, ever you want.
So all right, so Star Wars and Marvel are my thing. I do get down with DC. Unfortunately, I feel like with the cancellation of Young Justice, I don't know if you guys were watching Young Justice.
I got season 3.
One of the writers.
Where in season 3?
The very end, because I figured out that the first letter of each episode said "prepare the anti-life equation."
I did not know that.
Oh. So, season 3, Young Justice, every episode title, if you take the first initial of every episode, it spells out prepare the anti-life equation.
Ooh.
God damn, that's so cool.
Fun fact though about Young Justice, one of the writers for Young Justice follows me, and like we've been DMing, and we could possibly have her on the show soon. So that's gonna be really cool.
Can I be on with? I want to meet.
Oh hell yeah.
For sure.
Because my content right now is focused on Star Wars, but I am a very much multifaceted nerd. I can't tell you how much I love Young Justice, and the way it gives voice to so many communities. I mean, even season 3 into season 4, the character Halo does so much. And I don't want to spoil anything, but they do more in season 4.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like I don't love the way they ended Halo's story because I feel like there was supposed to be more. I feel like there was something else that was going to happen. There was more that's going to happen.
So you finished all of it?
I finished all of it.
Okay, awesome.
I finished all of it, but I feel like there was still something a little bit more. They left a little bit untouched, which I'm a little sad about. But who knows? It got canceled once before. Maybe it'll come back. Who knows?
I was one of the people when it got canceled. I played Young Justice on every screen in my house that I could find simultaneously, in praying that it would come back. So I was one of those people. Anyways, I feel like
we did go off track. Anyways, guys, listen, our shows, we cover everything. So my goal when I came up with this idea, asked Jazz to be my co-host, put the name together, I had an idea like Samuel L. Jackson. So it was to become like a channel. So basically, like, we will cover everything. They'll have people recap stuff, even stuff that I don't watch. Like, I don't watch anime. I want to have people on the Salaam Nerd channel who do anime. I want to do Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, everything. I want to have everything on my channel one day. But until then, we're doing as much as we can. So right now, our biggest stuff is Star Wars and Marvel. That's our two biggest stuff. And The Bachelor. Bachelor is actually our number one most popular stuff. So it's The Bachelor. Yeah, Bachelor, Marvel, Star Wars are our top three. In that order.
Cover House of the Dragon.
We
Oh
do
yes,
cover
we're
House of the
on that.
Dragon.
Mhm.
House of the Dragon is growing. We're growing. Sandman actually had a big. I looked at the data, and Sandman actually had a good stuff. So we cover everything. If there's something that you guys want us to cover that we right now do not cover, let us know. Whether it's reality TV, whether it's fantasy, whether it's a sitcom, let us know. We'll cover it. Whatever you guys want, we'll do it. But
But back to
listen,
Star Wars.
well, we are at 45 minutes. I think we are at our limit. Dark Chaco, thank you so much for being on the show. Your insight is invaluable. You are probably the most knowledgeable person on this subject that I know. And you're so awesome to be around, man. It's just so much fun just joking around with you.
Yeah.
Please let people know where they can find you.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for having me on. I love to come on. I love to talk about this stuff, and I love to because bouncing ideas off, we get to new places all the time. So feel free to invite me back anytime for any of my fandoms, including anime. I'm a huge anime nerd. But
Ooh.
I'm Darth Chaco on TikTok. I'm Darth Chaco on YouTube. Darth Chaco 7 on Twitter. Darth.chaco on Instagram, but I don't really post there very often, and I need to get better at it. Um, I love Star Wars, but like I feel like nerd culture is honestly the basis of society going forward. I think there's a lot of people who learn their morality, their moral clock comes
Yes.
from their childhood love
Yes.
of anime, of comic books, of these heroes, and because of that, I think it's the most important genre there is. Yes, you can get an Oscar or whatever from portraying people who have experienced trauma, but yeah, I honestly think this is the most important, thing. So
I'm right there with you, my guy, because one of the most important scenes in my life is from this anime called One Piece, and the main character punches essentially the gods of the world, and that scene to this day is like what guides me because I'm just like, what would this character do in that moment if he was here right now? And I live by that. So like it truly it has been a formative part of my life. I completely agree that this nerd culture, everything about it, whether it's anime, Star Wars, Marvel, DC Comics, like everything, it is very formative and very important for us to talk about.
I couldn't agree more. I feel like concepts like hope are so important to people
Mhm.
right now. There's people in Iran who need that hope. They're trying to have a revolution. They're trying
There's
to have
Caribbean.
rights. Yes, everywhere you go, there's people looking for hope, and that's one of the last things to leave us, our body, is hope. So you know
You almost had
that's
that.
why I
yeah,
love Star
because
Wars.
Star Wars specifically, when George Lucas wrote Star Wars, it was a scathing indictment of the United States and
Mhm.
its imperialism. It is saying there is nothing wrong with looking at the culture that you currently live in, benefit off of, and asking for something better,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that other people around the heroes of the original trilogy were the Viet Cong.
Mm-hmm.
If you can wrap your brain around that, you can understand that no one is unassailable. No one's beliefs are unapproachable or so wholly good that you don't need to consider the ramifications of said actions. What benefits the people? And there's stuff like this happening everywhere, all over the globe. I am appalled. Uh, Neebs, you came on an episode of mine. We were talking about Miss Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
and in that I talked about how I had never heard of the partition in my life.
Yeah.
I'd never
Yeah.
heard of it before Miss Marvel. I had never heard um anyone like there's just so much I've never heard in a positive light. I've never seen, and there's so much beauty, there's so many cultures, and we can all coexist and benefit and love each other and live and have these conversations
Yeah, learn from our past. Unfortunately, we
Yeah.
refuse to because world history is really just European history, and we're not ready to acknowledge that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
Which was straight up said inside that show.
yeah, yep. All right, listen. I don't think there's any
Sorry.
way we can top that. I don't think there's no way we can top that. We're gonna get off our soapbox a little bit, and bid you guys good night. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Dark Chaco, and until next time, guys. Salaam, nerds.
Peace.